Also, again, I want to talk about your sensitivity here and your aim and stuff. You're trying to do too much with your movement. I don't know if you're trying to look like Bolo or Spoit or something, but you're trying to do way too much. So yeah, you gotta chill, my man. You're not gonna be Spoit. You're not gonna be Bolo. I had a viewer like this recently where, he tried to be a player that he isn't, and I tried to do the same thing back when I was in gold, years ago. It's not gonna work out. Trust me on this. So just worry about yourself. Stop trying to look like another player that you look up to, and be yourself. Play like yourself, because that's the only way you will truly improve at this game. What is going on, guys? 821 Mayo here, and in today's video we are going to be having ourselves another viewer VOD review video. So kind of just some cliff notes about this viewer. He really wants to learn how to play more aggressive or passive. Also needs to work on decision making and aim. So those are all topics that we will go over in the video. But without wasting any more time, let's jump into the VOD. So that's a really good early first pick there. The only issue that I have with the situation like this is that you have a teammate near you, which is the Ash. So maybe communicate with her, tell her to refrag you when you peek, so that way if you do die, there's that refrag capability. But other than that, good early pick. That's a huge mistake that you just made there. So what you did beforehand, before you took the gunfight originally, is you Zofia stunned. And that's something that is very overlooked when it comes to this operator, is her Zofia stun mechanic, that piece of utility that you have. I understand that when you did Zofia stun for the first time, you stunned yourself as well as her. But, with 20 seconds left, you really need to win this gunfight. So you really, really have to use every advantage you can. So that way you put yourself into a better position of winning the gunfight. Because if you lose this gunfight, it could potentially lose the round just because you lost this 1v1. So make sure when you have the ability to, whether it's attack or defense, you take every advantage you can in your power, so that way you can set up the gunfight or the situation as much as in your favor as it can be. Before we carry on with the video, I quickly want to mention that 50% of you guys aren't subscribed. So if you guys have not hit that sub button already, I would really appreciate it. It also helps out with the YouTube algorithm. I also want to mention that I can coach you. So if you guys want a private coaching session or a private VOD review session, there's a link to my Patreon down below in the description. And yes, I do coach console players. And lastly, I also want to mention that I have a second channel. What you can find here is exclusive content like private coaching sessions. You can also find tier lists and any other content that is from my Twitch live stream. A link to that is also in the description. One thing that I'm noticing about your aim, and that's something that you said in your VOD form, is that you're really shaky with your movements. So maybe try to change around your mouse grip a little bit. One thing that a lot of people don't understand about aiming and stuff like that is they're always about sensitivity. How do I, am I on the right sense? Is this the right sense for me? Is this too fast? Is it too slow? I keep whiffing. A lot of people overlook their grip. That's your input device, is your hand to your mouse. So if you have the wrong input or the wrong grip or whatever it is, it's like someone with flat feet wearing a very curved shoe. Like, it's not going to be comfortable for them. So maybe over time you made it think it's comfortable for you, but in all reality it's not. So make sure when you are trying to learn how to aim and kind of understand the mechanics of aiming and how to be comfortable with it, that you have a proper mouse grip. It's very underlooked, and a lot of people don't understand how important it really is. Your hand is your input device on your mouse. And if you don't have the right grip or the right stance with your hand on your mouse, it's going to mess with a lot of things. So try to change that up a little bit, see what you like, see what you don't like. Just experiment, it's very important that you do, because you'll never really understand fully what works for you and what doesn't if you don't experiment. Yeah, see, you did it there as well. Like, did you see how shaky you were when you were shooting at this Ella? Like, it was extremely shaky. I don't know if it's like poor recoil management, but you're physically moving your hand aggressively, and I'm not sure what it is. I don't want to say it's sensitivity, because you would be seeing that consistently throughout your mouse movements. You're not always seeing that. It's only usually when you're aggressively moving your mouse or you're taking a gunfight do you see that shakiness. So I would recommend to you to maybe change your mouse grip. Experiment, see what you like, see what you don't like, and then go from there. All right, bro. Listen, you gotta chill. I'm gonna say this once in this VOD. You gotta chill, my man. All right. You just have to.
We have been eliminated.
One other thing that comes to mind when it comes to you having shaky aim and you struggling with it, it might be also what some people call a death grip. So what a death grip is when you grab your mouse, like you really, like, you grab it really hard, like you're squeezing the electronics out of your mouse. That also might be another thing, which in turns with your mouse grip itself. Make sure you're not having any death grip, because that's another reason why you might be struggling with your aim. So I'm not sure how many of you know about this angle, but there's an angle that you can get underneath the benches in hookah. There's this little pillow here. If you get rid of that pillow, you just shoot it, it gets destroyed. But if you look underneath the benches, you can see all of the hookah door. Instead of trying to, expose yourself all the way on the left-hand side of the bench there. Just a little angle that some people might not know about. So instead of putting an ADS there on the desk, you can put one here. And it covers service the exact same way, but the one on the desk they can shoot pretty easily. If you put it on the back side of this little storage cabinet, there's no vertical play that they can, they can't shoot it from above, and also they have to walk into service to shoot it, and it pretty much covers the exact same thing. So also, again, I want to talk about your sensitivity here and your aim and stuff. You're trying to do too much with your movement. I don't know if you're trying to look like Bolo or Spoit or something, but you're trying to do way too much. So yeah, you gotta chill, my man. You're not gonna be Spoit, you're not gonna be Bolo. I had a viewer like this recently where he tried to be a player that he isn't, and I tried to do the same thing back when I was in gold, years ago. It's not gonna work out, trust me on this. So just worry about yourself. Stop trying to look like another player that you look up to, and be yourself. Play like yourself, because that's the only way you will truly improve at this game. So I want to touch on one thing here as well. Kind of just watching you play this position shows to me that your situational awareness really doesn't need any work. I mean, obviously you can still always make it better, but when people approach me with VOD reviews and stuff like that, they always say, "Oh, I want to get better decision making, situational awareness." And yours seems decent. Like it's nothing, it's not horrible, but it's not amazing. And not to put you down or anything, but when a lot of people come to me and they say, "Oh, how do I get better situational awareness and stuff like that?" Usually it's not that great, but yours is. It's pretty good. And I'm not trying to make you feel like you're an amazing player, because even me myself always need to work on situational awareness and decision making. Like that's something that always needs work on, no matter who you are in this game. But I think you're focusing a little bit too much on the wrong things when it comes to you as an individual. You're trying to look like a player or act like a player that you're really not. That's something that you're not really noticing. You're also focused a little bit too much on your sensitivity, or finding the right sense. And I don't really think it's your sensitivity itself. I think it's your grip. So that's another thing, that you're not really focusing on the right thing. And then when to play aggressive and passive. I still have to see a situation where I can really explain it. But this might be a situation where this could be explained. You're in a really bad spot. You're being pinched from all over. You're being Dokubi called, Zofia stunned. Enemies are pushing you, and you're playing the situation and taking and giving pretty decent as well. So I think overall, you as an individual, you're focusing on the wrong things. I think that you need to kind of evaluate yourself a little bit more when it comes to this game, so that way you have a deeper understanding of what you actually need to improve on.
Keep an eye out for Op 4 attempting to defuse.
This is not a good Malusi, by the way, and the reason for that is because Malusis are heavily line of sight based. So if the Malusi does not have line of sight or a direct, access to an attacker, it will not activate. So you putting it in such a close quarters position and in this little cubby in long is not going to allow the Malusi to fully activate and, do what a Malusi does, which is slow and annoy the attackers. So you need to make sure that you understand where you want to place your Malusis, kind of put a little bit of thought before you actually spawn in of where you want to put your utility and what you're trying to accomplish with it. This is something that is very underlooked when it comes to a lot of viewer VOD reviews. People just kind of run around, place utility, not really understanding why they're putting it there or the reasons they're putting it there, which leads to utility being misplaced. So make sure you're giving a purpose, some thought behind your utility placement.
A bomb has been located by Op 4.
So in a situation like this, you're on cams far too much. In a 3v4 or, just when the attackers, when the attackers are going to start trying to take the bomb site and the map control of the bomb site and try to go for plant, that's where you allow the dead people to kind of give yellow pings or whatever it is. That info and that info game and them being on cams is up to them. You need to be on gun, you need to be ready to take gunfights because you know for a fact that the attackers are going to start executing the bomb site, and you need to be off cams and prepared for those gunfights. Also, another thing is something very, very small about the gunfight that you just took here. So you saw the guy guitar, he shot at you once you got off of your cam. And then you also see the thermite go in. And I understand why you peeked the guy guitar the way you did through the rotate, is because you're expecting the thermite to go for plant here, obviously. But, as I just said, they're going to be executing, but it's also important that you take into account how much time is left in the round. There's 30 seconds. There's still plenty of time for the attackers to do whatever it is they need to do. So you need to be prepared for pretty much everything and anything. And I know that's very, very difficult for you to do. And this is kind of like the nitty gritty when it comes to this game, especially defense. But let's talk about the angles and how you should be eliminating them. So you have two different ways to peek the guy guitar, the Dokkaebi. You can either peek through the rotate, which exposes you to penthouse, or you could peek on the theater door and fight Hall of Fame guitar, whatever you want to call it, while still eliminating this angle here. So it's a very small and important attention to detail that you might have missed just because you're in the heat of the moment, and it's very hard to make these decisions like this. But I understand why it's difficult for you to do something like this, but this is really when it comes down to this game, the small stuff really does make the biggest impact or difference during a round. So very, very important that you kind of understand stuff like this, try to apply it to yourself as much as possible, so that way you can make the right decision in such a small amount of time that could really determine the outcome of a round. So you remember what I said earlier about you peeking the Jaeger that was peeking jail to service door? Pretty much the same thing that happened here, but what happened that I said might happen when you peek the Jaeger, where you die and then there's no immediate refrag. Also, in the gunfight itself, it looked like you tensed up a little bit while you were taking it, which goes back to the death grip kind of thing. So make sure that you're really understanding how important proper mouse grip is and that you're comfortable with it, and you're not tensing up right before you take a gunfight or while you're taking it, because that one micro adjustment that you might have not meant to make, and that could be the difference of getting the headshot or not, and then losing or winning the gunfight. So make sure that you are really focusing in on your grip and your comfortability with it. Yeah, I'm comfortable saying that it's something to do with your mouse grip, maybe a combination of your grip and sensitivity, but yeah, I'm not going to go into depth on it anymore just because I've already talked about it so many times throughout this VOD review. But yeah, very important that you try to fix it and work on it. All right, so you guys won in max overtime. That last little bit was rough to watch, I'm not going to lie. you're very shaky with your aim. So, you know, I gave you my thoughts, you know, my tips, my suggestions when it comes to that. You know, maybe change your sensitivity a little bit, but man, your mouse grip has to be a large factor with it, and you literally squeezing the life out of your mouse. Like this is something that is very underlooked when it comes to aiming in this game, as people often will death grip their mouse and squeeze every ounce of electronic juice out of it, and it results in them having really shaky aim, you know, and just getting them killed, which I saw multiple times throughout this VOD review, or, you know, you just leading to not getting kills as soon as you should if you had smoother, more consistent aim. So, yeah, situational awareness is also something that you said in your VOD form that you should work on. I think it's pretty decent, it's solid. As long as you consistently build upon what you already have, I think you'll be fine with that. And then also learning when to play passive and more aggressive. That really does come down to how much time is left in the round, what's the man count, what map control is being held from the attackers or defenders, what side of, you know, attack or defense are you on. Those are all factors when it comes down to it. I didn't really see too many situations besides the one where you're playing Jaeger and Blue Bar, where you should have decided to play a little bit more aggressive or more passive. I think you played the situation pretty decent. But yeah, overall, I think you're focusing on the wrong things when it comes to you and self-evaluating yourself. So make sure you kind of take a step back, you focus on the right things, you evaluate yourself, you focus on the right things, and I think you'll be good to go. But other than that, that is going to be the end of today's video. If you guys enjoyed or learned anything new, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. As I said at the beginning of the video, 50% of you guys aren't subscribed, so if you guys have not hit the sub button already, make sure you do so. I also want to mention before I go, once again, that I'm doing coaching, so if you guys are interested in that, there's a link to my Patreon down below where I do VOD reviews as well as coaching, and yes, there is a difference. All of the info you need can be found there on my Patreon, and yes, I do coach console players. And lastly, I also want to mention before I go that I have a second channel, so if you guys are interested in that, there's a link to it down below in the description, as well as a link to the Wichita Wolves, which I'm a content creator for, so make sure you guys go show them some love. But with all of that being said, hope you guys enjoyed, I hope you learned something new, and I will see you guys in the next video.